मुझे नूर सर
shall I start?
All participants have to mute your microphone. Please check your mobile or your PC. Please check there is a mute option. Make it red color. Just press it to become red. All participants must mute your microphone, please. Sandeep sir. Hello. Sandeep sir. Sandeep sir. Sandeep sir. Hello. Hello.
Hello, sir. The participant is for you. Okay, thank you very much. We can start now. Shall I start, sir, now? Am I audible, sir? Am I audible? Yes, you are audible. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'll straight away start with my outline of my presentation. So this is the agenda. So I just introduced you to the automotive electronics. Why there is a need for electronics in automotive? Why electronics came into automotive? What are the different applications of automotive? And then how we started automotive electronic course at KLE, and what are the benefits of starting this automotive electronic course? And what are the opportunities are there in automotive domain? How it is important not only for mechanical, for all the electronic students, how it is benefiting, and what are the focus areas if there are any research things to be done. What are the focus areas in automotive? And then a few applications of automotive electronics like engine management system and the safety systems. These two topics I'm trying to cover. So I'm not going in depth of into automotive nor in depth of electronics. So overall, I will cover. It should address everybody, not only just electronics, even mechanical. Anybody who attends this session should get into get to know what is this automotive electronics is all about. Okay, so what is automotive electronics? Okay, so in a very simple terms, I can say it is electronics which is used in automobiles either to replace an existing mechanical component and to control automotive subsystems. It could be braking system, suspension system, steering system. It could be any subsystem in automotive. So that is controlled by electronics. So that is what is automotive electronics. It's a very simple term. Okay, now what is the real motivation? Okay, so why there is a need for electronics? I would like to play a small video. Just have a look at this video.
NASA's most ambitious project ever, Juno, the space.
Are you able to listen to the audio, sir? Okay, just have a sir.
Discover Jupiter's secrets. Juno's scientific payload includes a color camera that will give the world the first ultra-wavelength microwave radiometer. In addition, it also has specially designed no cameras, please, ultra-high-speed engines that will take it to Jupiter in just 1 year. Any questions? Yes.
For a country obsessed with mileage, Maruti Suzuki makes India's most fuel-efficient cars.
Yes, this is the real motivation behind why electronics came into automotive. Okay, so we are all obsessed with the question kitna deti hai. So whenever anyone buys any new vehicle, first question what you ask is how much it gives. Okay, per liter how much it can run. So that is the real motivation behind the electronics into automotive. Okay, so I mean, so the real reason is to improve the fuel efficiency, okay, and reduce the exhaust particles. So these are the two main reasons why electronics came into a picture. Okay, so actually electronics came very long ago into automotive, in about 1870 or something. Very long ago electronics came into automotive, but it was rejected because of its cost and its size. Okay, I will just give you a small example. When I was in engineering 2005, so if at all the hard disk size was about such a big, only 40 GB hard disk is so big. Okay, now in our mobile phone we have 120 GB, 128 GB SD card, so we can hold that such a large memory size in a tip of a finger. Okay, so that revolution took place. Okay, not only that, most of the countries, they were not having the fuel of their own. Okay, so it was a big headache for almost every country. Whoever is not having fuel of their own, they have to import the fuel from other countries. So that was the reason. So that is the reason why this electronics came into automotive. Another reason is because there were more number of vehicles on the road. Okay, it was creating problem for the government entities because of the pollution. So more number of vehicles on the road, it was creating a pollution. So it was a big headache for government entities. So they started implementing norms and regulations. So because of which the OEMs means original equipment manufacturers like Tata, Hyundai, Honda, these are the OEMs. So they started implementing these norms. Okay, the government started imposing the norms, so they have to finally they have to implement, these OEMs have to implement these norms as per the government regulations. But the conventional system cannot be used to comply with these norms. Like nowadays we have come out, the Bharat Stage 6 is there. Okay, so without electronics it's very in fact it is impossible to control the pollution. Not only that, you can't improve the fuel efficiency without electronics. So we will see how electronics help in reducing the pollution, also improving the fuel efficiency. Okay, so these are the two applications which I'm going to cover in this session. Okay, and also one more thing, how many of you believe that today's pollution is because of vehicles? Okay, almost everybody says that the pollution is because of vehicles, but have a look at this video.
To wheeze along, generating a thundering 1.5 horsepower. It turns out that horses are involved in another myth of the car culture. The automobile brought pollution to cities, right? wrong. Before the noise and stench of cars, there was the noise and stench of horses. Imagine 130,000 horses in Manhattan at the turn of the century. Imagine the sights, the sounds. Imagine the smell. All that from the overworked animals that managed to stay alive.
The horses sometimes died and had this enormous dead horse lying by the side of the road until someone could get rid of it. I think it has to have been very difficult. I mean, when we think of horses today, we think of these beautiful animals prancing along. But if you imagine streets that are crowded with cars, substitute horses, it has to have been pretty awful.
As early as 1868, there were public calls for a cheap mechanical substitute for the horse.
So actually, when first vehicle was on the road, everyone was very happy because you just saw in the video that because of the pollution was created because of so many animals on the road, and also the noise and also the pollution was creating a problem. To avoid that, actually the vehicles came into picture. But today we have so many vehicles that vehicles started creating a pollution. Okay, so what is the solution for that? So solution for that is electronics. So with the help of electronics, we can address these issues. We can reduce the pollution. We can improve the fuel efficiency. So we will see in the upcoming slides how we can improve the fuel efficiency and reduce the pollution. Okay. So how important is electronics in automotive? Okay, I will just share you a small story. Before that, without electronics, what would have happened? Okay, so you can see without electronics. So you might have seen the big horns, now they are not present. Okay, so because electronics have replaced all these things. And also, the starter motor. If you don't have starter motor, this happens. So we'll have to push your vehicle. Okay, again, the kickstart. So earlier days, how they used to start the engine. Now you have flexibility to start an engine at a kick of a button. Okay, so wiper, some manual wiping. Okay, I would like to just show you. I just explained you what was the need for electronics into automotive. Now we will see what kind of electronics is there into automotive. Okay, what kind of systems are being used in today's modern vehicles with a small story. Okay, now I'll just take one student. Okay, now assume that one of your student. Okay, he's coming from Dharwad to Hubli. Okay, and the government of India has built an elevated highway. Okay. So here is our student who is coming to college from Dharwad to Hubli. Okay, he's coming along with his friend. So he started his journey from Dharwad. Okay, now he enters. He has to enter into that elevated highway. So there is a slope. Okay, so now he enters into the slope. Because there is a green signal, he started moving onto the slope, but as soon as he sees the red signal, he stops the vehicle. Okay, so I think most of you, I believe everyone stopped at the red signal. Okay, now he has stopped. How did he stop the vehicle? So obviously he has to apply the brake. Yes or no? So he has applied the brake. So now vehicle is stopped, and as soon as it stopped, what he did is he put the vehicle into the neutral. Okay, he put it into the neutral. He applied the brake. Okay, he stopped the vehicle. As soon as vehicle is stopped, what happens is, but his engine was on. Okay, and immediately after some time, engine switched off. Why engine switched off? Because there is a system called as a start-stop system. Okay, see, most of you when you are on in the signal, you don't dare to switch off your engine. You know why? Because you are not sure whether it is going to start again or not. But a student here, you don't have to worry. Okay, as soon as he stopped the vehicle and if it is idle, immediately it will switch off the engine. Okay, so that system is called as start-stop system. It is a very important system which is in most of the vehicles, and it is going to be mandatory in Indian vehicles also very soon. I think there are some norms already ready. Okay, so it's a very important functionality which can save lots and lots of fuel, because you might have seen most of the drivers, they switch on their vehicle and engine and just go away. So because of which so much of fuel gets wasted. Okay, so in every signal you might have seen so many people don't switch off their engine because they are not sure of whether the engine will start again or not. But with this system, you don't have to worry. As soon as you are in an idle state, that means your vehicle is not moving, it is at standstill, it will switch off immediately. And as soon as you press the clutch, immediately it will start. And this system is also available in two-wheeler. You might have heard about the I3S technology. In some two-wheelers, this technology is already implemented. So as soon as you press the clutch, immediately engine will start. Yes or no? So that is what is I3S technology, idle start stop system. So it's a very important technology which is in vehicle. For countries like India, it is a very important functionality. Okay, now as the red signal is there, so he has stopped the vehicle. Now it turns to green. So what is the first thing you do when it turns green? Okay, you put it in a gear. Okay, but as soon as he presses the clutch and put it in a gear, he don't have to worry and he don't have to start the engine. The start-stop system will automatically start the engine. You don't have to start the engine again. Okay, before that, once he has to move on, what is the next thing he has to do? He has applied the brake. So if he releases the brake, what happens? Okay, now he has released the brake. So even if you are a very good driver, at least it will roll back at least by an inch. So, but he don't have to worry. He has got a advanced vehicle. He has got a advanced vehicle with a feature called as HSC, hill hold control. Okay, even if you take out the foot from the accelerator, the brake, so the system will apply the brake for another 2 seconds so that it can accelerate. So that is called as HSC, hill hold control. So such systems are available in place in most of the vehicles, advanced vehicles. This function is there, hill hold control. So our student don't have to worry because he has got advanced vehicle, so he will move on. So that function is called as HSC, hill hold control. Okay, so it is not just electronics is not just only to control the fuel efficiency or to control the emission. It's also required for these kind of the functions. Okay, let us see. Now he is on the way, so he is on the track now. Okay, so as soon as you go to the elevated highway, so it's an elevated highway, so first thing you find is the toll collection point. Okay, so as soon as you go to the toll collection, you just can't pass through, you have to pay the toll. Earlier, nowadays there's a FASTag is implemented, but before that there are some modern vehicle and some automated toll stations where you don't have to stop. As soon as you come near to the station, so automatically you will get a message on the dashboard that so much of toll fees is collected from your account and so much is debited from your account. That message will come onto the dashboard. So such things are already in place. It is not any future thing. Already in some places it's already implemented. Even in India we have already a FASTags. So how this is we are able to implement all this because of electronics. Okay, not only just for fuel efficiency or improve the reduce the emission. Not for all these functionalities, electronics is must and should. Okay, now our student is already on the highway. Okay, I'm going to explain you one more function. So he is already tired because overnight he has worked on the report, so he's feeling tired. So what he does is he want to switch on this functionality called as ACC, adaptive cruise control. The function is, as soon as you switch on this function, so you can set a certain speed. Now I want to go at 70 kph, so I can just set it to 70 kph. Vehicle will go at 70 kph. So he don't have to press the accelerator. So he can take out the foot from the accelerator. So as soon as he take apply this ACC functionality, vehicle will drive. If there are any obstacle, immediately it will warn him. Okay, and it will automatically adjust. Okay, for example, he is going at, he has set the speed to 70 kph, but there is another vehicle at the front which is going at 60. Okay, so what happens? There could be collision because he is moving at higher speed. But since adaptive cruise control, the name itself says the adaptive, so it will adapt to the ongoing vehicle speed. Okay, so if he is going at 70, if the front vehicle is going at 60, it will change the speed to 60 kph, and it will maintain the constant distance between these two vehicles. Okay, so this is a functionality which comfort, it provides for comfort for the driver. So when there is a more comfort, what happens? When there is more comfort, brain goes to sleep. Okay, as soon as the driver goes to the sleep mode, there is a system in his vehicle which will detect his yawning moment, his eyes are closing. That is detected by a system. I think you might have seen an advertisement about Volkswagen. So as soon as the vehicle is yawning or he is feeling sleepy, automatically it will detect that movement and immediately it will vibrate the steering and alert the driver. And after some time, our student is is feeling sleepy and he sees that he has not reached. He is still on the highway even after 15-20 minutes, because vehicle is halted. Because he went into sleep mode, vehicle is halted. So he's still on the highway. Okay, how this is possible? It is all possible because of electronics into automotive. Okay, now immediately after realizing that he is still on the highway, he has to switch off this ACC and drive a little faster. So what he does is he is driving. If he also want to try his driving skills, so what happens is he immediately switches off the ACC, adaptive cruise control. Okay, he want to overtake some people and he want to move a little faster, and so he disables the adaptive cruise control function. Okay, and it's a highway, so anything can happen. So there was a sudden obstacle. Okay, there was a sudden obstacle. Some dog came in the way. What happens when there is a sudden obstacle? What is the first thing you do? You apply a brake in a panic situation. So what happens when you apply a brake in panic situation? If it is a normal vehicle without ABS, ABS is the anti-lock braking system which controls the braking system. Okay, and it helps to reduce the stopping distance. So when you apply a brake, it can reduce the stopping distance by 30%. Okay, so it's a wonderful feature. Earlier it was not mandatory in India, but I think now in almost all the vehicle is fitted with the ABS. Okay, the newer vehicle should be having ABS system, anti-lock braking system. So anti-lock braking system, it's a wonderful feature which can reduce a lot of accidents. So with this anti-lock braking system, you will be able to stop the distance, stop your vehicle much earlier, as well as it will allow you to steer the vehicle. Okay, so without ABS, what happens? You suddenly applies the brake. Okay, so what happens when you apply the brake suddenly? So wheel gets locked and your vehicle will go out of track. Okay, so it may create accident. But with ABS, you don't have to worry. Even if he applies the brake, okay, immediately it will stop. Okay, so such systems are available only because of electronics. So I'm just telling you why it is so important, why electronics came into picture, and how important is electronics in automotive. Okay, so we need electronics in the engine management system. ECM stands for engine control module. Okay, so engine control module is a larger department in automotive industry which takes care of engine. Okay, so why we need electronics in automotive with respect to engine management system? To improve the fuel efficiency, to reduce the exhaust particles, to control the temperature inside the engine. So I will tell you one example. I think recently you might have heard about some news and some vehicles catching the fire. Okay, because of the temperature inside the engine was crossing the limit and it was catching fire. Okay, so that can also be controlled with the help of electronics. Okay, now you want high power, high torque, you want to control the vibrations inside the engine, which is called as knocking. So you need electronics. We will see how we can control the knocking and vibrations inside the engine through electronics. So, so these are the different domains which I am sharing. So this one is the engine control module, and the next one is the safety system, that is anti-lock braking system, traction control system, and electronic stability program. These are some of the safety systems which are there in modern vehicle. Okay, so you can control the vehicle slip and understeering and oversteering control, vehicle rollover control. So it can reduce the stopping distance. So it can also do the brake distribution. So these are the different applications of electronics in automotive. Okay, so this is one more the domain, that is a body control domain. So where there are a number of functions, few functions I have listed. Vehicle interior control, vehicle interior lighting control, exterior light control, automatic door, power windows, remote keys. There are many functions inside the body control module. So I will just give you a overview about what kind of electronics, how much of percentage of electronics is used in automotive. Okay, so this is another safety system, that is airbag. I think most of you are already aware of airbag control in it. Okay, so this is another angle. How important is automotive electronics, okay, for India? Okay, this is my perspective of what I can say. This is a very important subject with respect to countries like India. Okay, so it could be a game changer for many countries if you really focus on these automotive electronics. Okay, so just listed what is the problem that our country is facing. Okay, yes, of course, population, but population is actually not a problem. It's a boon for country, because population is not actually a real problem. Okay, and then you have corruption, poverty, so economy of the country, pollution, inflation, and natural disasters, and deteriorating health of a common man. And why our natural resources like water are getting polluted by industries. Okay, you might have seen now the Ganga is getting purified because all the industries have stopped their work. Why our natural resources are getting polluted? Okay, it's polluted because we are the industries are not able to transport the pollutant to some other area, because they to transport they need money, because they need fuel, so fuel costs. So that is the reason I just throw away. Okay, so for the most of these problems there is only one solution. Okay, it is nothing but automotive electronics. So with the help of electronics, you can improve the fuel efficiency. If you improve the fuel efficiency, you can address most of the problems. Okay, I will just tell you, if there is a 1 rupee increase in the fuel price, you can just see go and try all over the country. Because if there is a 1 rupee increase in the fuel price, every item gets affected. Right from milk to any item you take, it gets affected because everything needs to be transported, and transportation needs costly, so you can't transport without fuel. So that is the reason electronics plays a very important role with respect to automotive. Okay, so if you develop some electronics which can improve the fuel efficiency by 10%, I mean it's a great thing you could be doing for countries like India. Okay, so how this can be okay, you need to bring a change. Okay, every time change will not be given to you. Okay, and can you tell me who told this? Okay, so this is said by the bus conductor, but it holds so good and valid for all of us, because if you can implement some electronics into automotive which can reduce the emission and improve the fuel efficiency, will be doing a great thing for our country. Okay, yes, just by reducing the fuel consumption and emission, most of the stated problems Okay, pollution. Why pollution is happening today? Pollution is happening because of the exhaust which is coming out of vehicles. Okay, why economy is down? Because fuel prices is going up and every item gets affected. So it is interlinked. Everything is interlinked. So this can solve most of our problems. Okay, it's not just by just engine related management system. Even a braking system can reduce improve the fuel efficiency. Okay, you might have heard about the regenerative braking. Okay, or even a type of tire you put it on your vehicle, that can also reduce the fuel consumption. Although it is not electronics, but this can also improve the fuel efficiency. Even kind of steering wheel, steering handle that you put on your two-wheeler also has a great impact on the fuel economy. Okay, you might have heard about and seen about this Iraq daga daga, Bharat gada gada. Okay, I have got I just clicked this photo in TV9. Okay, not only in India, if there is something goes wrong in other countries like Iraq, Iran, so who has to it gets affected. Okay, so we are going to get affected by this whatever happens in other countries. Okay, so we are so dependent on other countries. Okay, so if there is something goes wrong there, all the fuel prices will go up. If the fuel prices go up, okay, so every item gets affected. So that is the reason if you can bring something which can reduce this pollution and improve the fuel efficiency, it will be a great thing for all of us. Okay, now just let me give you some important points about automotive electronic course for you. Okay, so we have started automotive electronic course almost it's about 8 years, 7-8 years now. Okay, we started this automotive electronics course in collaboration with the Robert Bosch and the KPIT. Today, because of automotive electronic course, most of our students getting placed in this companies. So our college from E&C, most of the placements happen this automotive domain. So we get Robert Bosch, Mercedes-Benz, KPIT. So I will tell you one simple example. So every time KPIT needs some, if there is any requirement, they will say, "Chalo BUB or chalo KLE." Okay, because of this course, whatever course we are running in our college, it has made such an impact that all the automotive industries are coming to our college. See, Robert Bosch is in Bangalore. Imagine how far is Bangalore and how many colleges are there near Bangalore. But still, Bosch coming all the way from Bangalore to Hubli. It is not just coming from the past 3 years. I will tell you, most of the placements, top 3, highest placement is from our college by Bosch. It is not in Karnataka, it's all over the India. So last 3 years consecutively, we have got a maximum number of placements from our college. Okay, so that is the impact it has made, in our college as well as for the industry. Because of this automotive electronic course, both the industry as well as our college is getting benefited. Our students are getting benefited because already whatever industry is doing, we are teaching in this automotive electronic course. So it is a very, very important with respect to not only for India but for your career, for students' career. It's a very, very important subject. Okay, just have listed what is that Robert Bosch is asking. Okay, so they are asking working knowledge in steering, powertrain, braking system. So we have a course wherein they go through this braking system, that is automotive electronic course. Okay, so they go through this course. Almost every student learn about embedded C, and we have some laboratory where we also teach embedded C. And look at this experience in CAN FlexRay. So this is what we have included in our course. So powertrain, all this CAN, Lean, FlexRay, they all learn in this automotive electronic course. And this is a very important thing, that is strong development and modeling experience in MATLAB and Simulink. I think your college might be also using MATLAB and Simulink. So there is about 70% of the development takes place as a model-based design using Simulink. So most of these companies like Bosch, KPIT, Continental, Delphi, Mercedes-Benz, they make use of these tools. So if you teach your students about these tools, why wouldn't be they're interested? Definitely they will come to you and recruit your students. So that's what is happening. So if you teach all these things, your students will also get benefited. Okay, so this is what they ask. So these are the things which are included in our laboratory. Okay, so and one more important thing is this is for 3 to 6 years experience. They're asking for 3 to 6 years experience in automotive domain. But these things we are already giving it to our students. So it is a win-win situation for both for the students as well as for us. Okay, students get to know all about these things. So this is what is there in industry. So if you teach them, so they are also told, the industries have given the feedback that they are able to reduce the training at their industry by 30%. So this is the impact that course automotive electronics has done in at our college. Okay. So now just in one more example, how model-based design technique. I just mentioning about model-based design here using Simulink and MATLAB. So 70% of the development takes place as a model-based design in most of the embedded industry. So this is one of the good point you can pick up and start this model-based design. Okay, and even students can take up this and learn about this model-based design technique. So all these companies like Bosch, KPIT, Continental, they make use of this model-based design technique. So there is a huge requirement for MBD professionals in automotive. Not only in India, even abroad also there is a huge requirement. Okay, now one more important point: who drives this auto industry? Okay, what are the driving factors? One thing is the government. Always government put new regulations like BS6. So when government says BS6, that means they have to reduce the pollution. Okay, BS5 was skipped. They came to BS6 because the technology was not ready. Now they have asked for BS6. So when they say BS6, almost every OEM, no, they have to implement that. So if they have to implement, so they have to invest. Okay, so that's how this market is driven. So government puts a new norms that should be implemented. So they need people. Okay, they will invest. So that's how this whole industry is driven. And new technology. Okay, so now today somebody come with ABS. Tomorrow another company will come with new product, ACC, cruise control, autonomous vehicle. All this technology will also drive telematics, hybrid fuel cells. Okay, so technology will also plays an important role in driving this market. Then competition. Okay, so there are many OEMs: Tata, Hyundai, Honda. Okay, so Hyundai comes with a new feature, so that should be implemented. So other OEMs also try to implement that functionality. Okay, that's how this market is driven. So when they have to implement, they have to invest. So when they have to invest, they need people. Okay, so that's how this market is driven. Even the customers, they want different variety of vehicles. Okay, so everybody has got different tastes. So customer also asks for different variety. So that's how this whole of the automotive industry is driven. So government, technology, competition, customers. So there are many other factors which are not taken into, but these are the major factors which will drive this automobile industry. Okay, I'll just give you the evolution, how it is evolved. Okay, so in 1970, the first electronics was introduced to control the engine, and then came 1980s, the anti-lock braking system. Okay, so it's a very simple functionality which can reduce the stopping distance. I will give you the figure. By I think 2003, Bosch has sold around 100 million ECUs. Okay, ECUs means electronic control units, which can implement this. And I will give you the exact figure how much they have sold. So they already captured whole market. Okay, so much of electronics, and then 1990 airbags came into picture, and then rapid expansion of body electronics. Okay, body electronics is like wiper control, mirror control, window control. All this came into picture. So they put together. They are called as a body electronics. Then in 2000, then there is a system called a steer by wire and drive by wire system. Okay, So there is no connectivity between accelerator pedal and the throttle. So this is all by wire. Okay, and then we have today we have autonomous vehicle trend. Okay, so most of the companies are talking about autonomous vehicles. So these are the major topics that you can pick up: autonomous vehicle functionalities, okay, and connected cars. So these are the important topics right now. Okay, now just give you a hint about automobiles have changed from machinery. Earlier it was everybody was thinking that automotive is only related to mechanical. Okay, earlier it was like that only, but today it is not just automobile. It's not related to only machinery. Okay, now it has changed to E&E systems. The following facts will surprise you. Now, today's cars have about 2,500 software functionalities. Okay, just look at this figure: 10 million lines of software code. Okay, 1 crore line of code goes into the vehicle. 1 crore line. Imagine there are about 80 ECUs. 80 ECUs means electronic control units. Electronic control units are nothing but you can right now assume it as a microcontroller. Okay, it's a microcontroller along with some more modules. Okay, along with that some more modules you put together is called as an electronic control unit. Okay, so assume that it's a microcontroller. So each ECU might be having multiple microcontrollers. So that means there are about okay, imagine there are about 80 ECUs in a vehicle, 80 ECUs electronic control unit. That means there are more than 80 microcontrollers inside a vehicle. So wherever you place your hand, there is a ECU in modern vehicles. Okay, so there is a ECU to control the steering, there is a ECU to control the suspension, there is a ECU to control wiper, there is a ECU to control mirror, windows. Wherever you place your hand, there is a ECU. So it is developed so much so that okay, even if you want to intentionally commit accident, you can't commit. To that extent, the electronics have been developed in a vehicle. Okay, wherever you see there is an issue, earlier there was airbag on the steering wheel. Now you have airbag, knee airbag, you have a side airbag. Okay, now Mercedes Benz is working on the airbag in the seat belt itself. To that extent, the electronics have been put into vehicles. You can see up to 40% of the vehicle costs are determined by electronics and software, and 90% of all the innovations are enabled by electronics and software. So 50 to 70% of the development costs for ECU related software. Okay, just imagine how many opportunities are there in this field. Okay, a very, very important thing. Okay, electronics in automotive. Okay, so now I think you have understood why there is a need. There is a need for electronics in automotive. Okay, with respect to environment, with respect to countries like India, because we don't have fuel of our own, we have to import. And then we also understood that how important is this automotive electronics subject, okay, with respect to our career point of view. So I think I'll address all the three. Okay, now some applications we will see why there is a need. So need is there to control engine, to control braking system, to control suspension, to control steering, so many things. Okay, I told you just in the previous slide, 80 ECUs controlling different sub functions in a vehicle. Okay, so one application, I think engine control and ABS systems I will cover. Okay, so before we go ahead, okay, what is that you expect from an engine? Okay, so we want good torque, we want high power. Definitely, I think you might have seen in the video, whenever you buy any vehicle, first thing your friends ask is how much, kitna deti hai? Yes sir, less weight, low emission, smooth running performance. You don't want much vibrations. You don't want emissions. So all these are the what we expect. Okay, but is it possible to achieve all these? It's not possible to achieve all this with the conventional system. See, most of the two-wheeler engines what we have till today is still they are having the conventional engines. They don't have an engine management system. Most of the 90% of the two-wheelers they don't have a engine management system. They run with the conventional system. But four-wheelers, of course, every vehicle has got an engine management system because they have to meet the norms. Okay, is it possible to achieve this with the electronic control system? No. All the expectations is not possible, but it can give you an optimized solution. Okay, engine control system provides an optimized solution. So what is that we can control or manage in engine? So we can control the temperature inside engine. Okay, you might have seen when many vehicles were catching fire because of the temperature was exceeding the limit. We can control the emission. We can control the injection timing and quantity. So we can control the ignition timing inside the engine. Knocking, which is nothing but vibrations inside the engine. We can control the vibrations inside engine. Okay, with the help of sensors, we can detect the vibrations level inside the engine, and we can take a corrective action with the help of electronics. Okay, so this is the bigger picture about the engine management system. Okay, so this is the brain behind this engine control. Okay, so this is the ECU, electronic control unit from Bosch. Okay, so this is the ECU which is going to control this engine. So it looks very complex, but it's very simple to understand. Okay, let me start. So as soon as you start your vehicle, the first thing is once you crank means when you start the engine. After starting the engine, you put it in a gear and press the accelerator. So this is the accelerator. Okay, so once you press the accelerator is not directly connected to the throttle. Okay, so as you accelerate, you are actually controlling the throttle in the conventional engine. Okay, but in a modern engine, the accelerator is connected to the ECU. Okay, ECU is now you can assume it as a microcontroller. Okay, this pedal, accelerator pedal, is connected to the microcontroller through sensor. So there is a sensor over here which will detect the position of the accelerator pedal. Okay, how much driver is demanding, that is sensed and given to the microcontroller. Then microcontroller will give a signal to the motor. Okay, here there is a motor which will control this throttle valve. There is a valve here. So as this valve opens, the air gets inside the engine. Okay, this air will get inside the engine. So now you press the accelerator. So now the ECU comes to know that there is a demand. So it will open the throttle and air moves in. Okay, but once the air moves in a conventional system, there is no control over the throttle. Driver will control how much they want, that much he will control. But here the ECU knows how much of air is coming in through the help of this sensor. So there is a air mass flow sensor here, which will detect how much of air is flowing. Microcontroller knows what is the driver demand. It also knows what is the air flowing in. Based on that, it will give a signal to the fuel injector. Okay, here you can see there is a fuel injector over here, so which is connected to the microcontroller. So it will give a signal to the fuel injector. But in a conventional system, what happens? Where there is no engine management system, you press the accelerator, air comes in. Okay, so with the help of differential pressure, it will suck the fuel from the fuel tank. But in this case, the fuel is pumped to the fuel injector. There is a fuel pump over here. It will pump the fuel to this fuel injector, and this fuel injector is controlled by the ECU. So now it knows what is the acceleration, what is the air flowing, and it will inject the fuel into the cylinder. Okay, how much fuel it will inject? So there is a stoichiometric ratio. Okay, so for the ideal air fuel ratio is 14.7:1. So it knows how much of air is flowing, what is the driver demand, exactly, precisely it can inject that much of fuel into the cylinder. Okay, that's how the air fuel ratio is formed. Once the air fuel ratio is formed, the next step is what? Compression. So compression happens. Okay, once the air fuel is compressed in a conventional system, the fuel is ignited by the spark plug. Okay, again it is driven to the mechanical system, but here the spark plug is again controlled by the ECU. Now ECU exactly knows where is this piston. Based on the piston, it will ignite this mixture. Once the mixture is ignited, the exhaust will come out. Okay, now what is the guarantee that it was ideal air fuel ratio? How we will come to know it was ideal air fuel ratio? Okay, ECU has assumed that it has injected the right quantity of fuel, but what is the guarantee? So there should be some feedback. So that feedback is this oxygen sensor. Okay, here you can see at the exhaust there is an oxygen sensor which will give a feedback to the ECU, electronic control unit. Okay, now how it will give the feedback? So if the air fuel ratio is completely burned, then you will not have completely burned, then you will have some oxygen content in the exhaust. So this is the oxygen sensor which will detect that oxygen. If there is a oxygen amount is less, that means there is a rich mixture. Okay, so there are two terms, rich mixture and lean mixture. Rich mixture means more fuel, less air. So it has got a bad impact on the fuel economy. So always we want to have a lean mixture. Lean mixture means more air, less fuel. Okay, we want as lean as possible so that you can improve the fuel efficiency. So that is exactly how it is achieved. So always the ECU tries to give you a lean mixture so that fuel efficiency can be improved. So this is the feedback. So this oxygen sensor will tell the microcontroller whether the mixture was rich or lean, whether fuel was more or oxygen was more. So that is indicated by this oxygen sensor. Once it receives that feedback, okay, now it knows what to be done. If the oxygen was less, that means it was a rich mixture. Then what happens is it will reduce what action it can take. It can either pull more air, okay, or it can reduce the injection quantity. So the ideal is reduce the injection quantity. Okay, it will reduce the injection quantity and makes the mixture again lean. So once the mixture becomes lean, again your fuel efficiency will improve. Okay, so that's how this overall thing will happen. Okay, and then there are certain instances where you can't drive with a lean mixture. Lean mixture means less fuel, more air. But in certain situations, like when you are starting your vehicle early in the morning, so what you normally do? Normally you pull the choke. So what you are trying to do when you pull the choke, what happens? You are actually restricting the air. Okay, you are restricting the air so that air is less, fuel is more. Because the engine compartment is very cold, so you have to inject more fuel and less air. Okay, so that in such situation, what happens? Okay, there will be a rich mixture. Okay, the rich mixture, the disadvantage is that once you make a mixture as rich, that is more fuel, less air, there will be exhaust particles. And as per the government norms, you can't put these exhaust particles out. Okay, if you put the exhaust particles out, you are going to violate the norms. So then what is the solution? In some situation, we want to have a rich mixture, but rich mixture is producing the exhaust particles like hydrocarbons, carbon monoxide and nitrogen oxides. These are the three major exhaust particles which the ECU wants to control, but rich mixture will produce. So for that reason, we have a catalytical converter. So this catalytical converter will oxidize and reduce these exhaust particles. Okay, even if the mixture was rich, in certain situations like cold start or when driver wants more power, okay, you want to even more power, you want to increase the speed, okay, driver demand is high, that time also the ECU give a rich mixture. So rich mixture always bound to produce the exhaust particles. So those are reduced with the help of a catalytic converter. Okay, but another question is, if a catalytic converter fails to oxidize and reduce these exhaust particles like HC, hydrocarbons, carbon monoxide, and nitrogen oxides. Okay, these are the three main exhaust particles that this catalytic converter will target. Okay, but what if it fails? If it is unable to control those, then what is the feedback? There is no feedback. Yes, yes or no? So that is the reason there is one more oxygen sensor over here, which will give a feedback after the catalytic converter. Whether the catalytic converter is able to control those exhaust particles. For that reason, this another oxygen sensor is used, which is again giving feedback. Okay, so overall, so this is how the engine management system works. That's how it controls the. Okay, so I will not go in depth because I don't know whether you are familiar with all these terminologies. So there are many sensors which are used, which I wanted to highlight, so that to tell you how much of electronics goes into the vehicles. So you can just see here, these are the different sensors which are there. So right from here, okay, you can see there is an accelerator pedal sensor over here. There is a sensor to monitor the air getting inside, and not only that, there is a temperature sensor here. See, in a conventional system, it doesn't worry about whether you are driving in the Himalaya or you are driving in the Rajasthan. How much driver accelerate, that much of air will flow, that much of air will suck the fuel. But the air fuel ratio gets affected based on the air temperature. If the temperature is higher, then the oxygen molecules will be less. So it will alter the air fuel ratio. So that is the reason there is a temperature sensor which will give a feedback to the ECU. So much of is the temperature, so oxygen molecules will be less. So what happens is it will open the throttle more. This is not possible with the conventional system. So whether you accelerate in Himalaya or it will be same. Okay, but the ECU can change as per the temperature or the different environmental conditions. Okay, so you have oxygen sensors over here, there is a temperature sensor here, and there is a NOx sensor which will detect the vibrations. So vibrations, engine vibrations are detected by this NOx sensor, which gives the feedback. So based on this feedback, it will change the ignition timing. Okay. Also, there is one more system called as EVAP system here. Okay, even if your engine is off, still there will be emission. To control that emission, fuel vapors. Okay, when your engine is off, there will be fuel vapors coming out of your engine, the fuel tank. So those vapors, fuel vapors, are collected in this carbon canister, and again, once it is filled, it is converted back to fuel and sent to the cylinder again. So these are the different components and sensors inside the engine. So other functions of engine like exhaust gas recirculation, secondary air injection system, which will provide extra oxygen for the exhaust control. Lambda control, basically to improve the fuel efficiency. Lambda control is a very important parameter. Then EVAP system, just now I mentioned EVAP system, it will collect the fuel vapors and reduce the emission. One more important thing is idle air control. I will come to the idle air control in the upcoming slide. So this is the fuel injection system, which consists of your ECU, your fuel pump, and fuel injector. What are all these? These are all electronics. Okay, electronics is required in almost all the functionalities. Okay, stoichiometric ratio I was talking about. When fuel is burnt, ideally it should produce H2O and CO2. Okay, in ideal case, but that never happens. So which produce HC, CO, and NOx. These are the major exhaust particles which should be addressed. So to design, first we have to make sure that fuel is burned completely. So how to make sure that fuel is burned completely? So by making a air fuel ratio lean, okay, as lean as possible. Okay, in some situation it's not possible. We have to drive the rich mixture. Okay, but at that can be controlled with the help of a catalytic converter. Okay, just so this is again the lambda control, controlling the air fuel ratio. So engine management system controls the exhaust particles by making use of EGR. So when you are having a mixture as linear, because of which the NOx will go up, nitrogen oxides will go up because of the high temperature during the lean mixture. So to control that, we need a EGR, exhaust gas recirculation. Secondary air injection, which will provide extra air, catalytic converter to oxidize and reduce the exhaust particles. Okay, so I was talking about the idle air control. Why I'm trying to explain, because most of you are interested in the use your two-wheeler. Okay, so idle speed is the minimum engine speed. Okay, which will keep your your engine running. It's a minimum speed which will keep your engine running. Okay, let me tell you. So as soon as you start your vehicle with the help of a kickstart or a starter, you are not accelerating, but still your vehicle is on, your engine is on. Your vehicle is not moving, you are not accelerating. But how your engine is on when you are not accelerating? You have just started your engine. It is because of the idle air. Always there will be a small amount of air will be flowing. So you can see this, there is a path. So this is your accelerator. Okay, it's the throttle plate which you are going to control through the accelerator, but there is a bypass over here to the engine. So this small amount of air will help you to keep your engine running when you start your engine. Okay, but that can also be controlled, and that should be controlled in four-wheelers. For example, if you turn on your AC, you might have seen the engine speed will automatically goes down, because the engine RPM, whatever it is driving, is not enough. Okay, for that reason you have to, because you are not accelerating, so there is no extra air coming, because of which your engine speed is coming down. So this idle speed control will control the air getting inside with the help of a valve. Okay. Okay. So this is the EGR, exhaust gas recirculation. So this is a secondary air injection system which will pump in the lot of air so that extra oxygen is provided. So this is a three-way catalytic converter which will address the HC and CO. Okay. So why conventional system fail? I will just give you a small example and then I will conclude this. Okay. Just have a look at this diagram. So this is a lean mixture. As you make mixture lean, you can see the CO, carbon monoxide, is coming down. Okay. But look at this graph, your NOx is going up. So always we want lean mixture. So to make lean mixture, when you make lean mixture, CO is coming down, hydrocarbon is also coming down, but NOx is going up. Okay. To reduce NOx, you need a different mixture. Okay. To improve HC and CO, you have a different air fuel ratio. So this different air fuel ratio cannot be provided by the conventional system. That's why we need electronics. Okay, so with this, I had a lot of many slides, but okay, since because of time constraint, I am concluding. So with this, I would like to conclude that electronics, automotive electronics, is a very important topic and very important for your career also. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts. Thank you very much. Okay, just one more thing.
Thank you, sir.
Just 1 second, sir. I'll just share my. Okay, so I have can log in. Can visit site.in. I have made a lot of videos on automotive electronics. Okay, like the topics which are very relevant and important with respect to industry. So you can log into visit my website vrmoney.in, or you can connect with me on YouTube or LinkedIn. You can just search for my name Venkatesh Mane. You'll get a lot of videos. So you can also watch my videos on YouTube. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. If the participants have any queries, you can share their questions in text box for 5 minutes. So I think there is no queries regarding the session.
Okay, so if any questions
No,
are
I
there, you can also mail me at mane@philips.com.
Okay, thank you, sir. So now I would like to call Srimati Revati Punja, Faculty, Department of Electronics, ECW Science College, Hubli, to propose a word of thanks. Madam, unmute.
Good afternoon all. It gives me immense pleasure to propose vote of thanks on behalf of Department of Electronics and PC Job in Parivar. I take this opportunity to propose vote of thanks to our resourceful resource person, Professor Venkatesh Mane, Assistant Professor KLE Tech, Hubballi. We are really enlightened with your knowledge and presence. Thank you, sir. I would like to thank our beloved principal for his enthusiastic support. A special thanks to organizing committee and our heartfelt thanks to all the participants of this national webinar. With these warm words and kind message, we move to the end of this today's webinar. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, ma'am. The feedback link is sent in the text box. And even circulated in your Telegram groups and to the mail. Thank you one and all. Tomorrow one more webinar is there at 11 o'clock. Scientific computing using Python. So the link will be provided in email ID as well as in Telegram group. So kindly join. Thank you.